Happy Friday, denizens of the internet and everyone here in the Blizzard Arena. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mitch Leslie, Matt Morello here. Week 5, teams have got a few games to wrap up and we still have some matches to decide what our playoffs are going to look like.
Yeah, still some teams, vying for playoff spots. A lot of seeding to be determined this week. That's how we go into the stage playoffs, next week.
Now let's have a look at our schedule, or at least our standings here in stage. It's probably what I'm more interested in right now. We kind of know exactly where we're going to be heading. This first match, the Boston Uprising going up against Los Angeles Gladiators. There is a little bit on the line, however, not so much in terms of who is in or out. The Gladiators, Matt, are looking for an undefeated stage 2. They're plus 12 in map differential now. The Uprising, Brent put it fairly well on the desk. They've been good. They've shown signs of being a strong team, but playoffs aren't really an option for them at this stage.
No, the Boston Uprising, they're pretty far out. The -7 in map differential, that's really going to hurt them. I think that final spot's really going to come down to whether it's going to be the Spark or the Dynasty. I think the Dragons as well. I think if you look at that Dragons, I think it's the Dragons' next game against the San Francisco Shock, after their match against Injustice, that could really hurt them. We can take a look, though, at the Gladiators stage thus far, undefeated, pretty strong all the way throughout. I mean, they've had a tough match against the Dragons, Seoul Dynasty, 2 tough teams. The Valiant have been better this stage, the Hunters as well. Hasn't exactly been a lot of free wins here for the Gladiators.
Yeah, and it's been a huge array of different teams with different styles. They've actually had to go head-to-head with, so there was even a draw there in that Valiant match. So we won't call it a cakewalk for them. It's been a strong schedule for them, mostly thanks to this guy. I mean, Decay came into the Overwatch League with very high expectations. There were numbers thrown around, Matt. There was speculation about exactly how much this guy was getting paid. But no matter what it is, he's earned every cent of it so far. We knew that he wasn't intended to be the Zarya aficionado. Now in stage 2, we're seeing him play much more of a diverse lineup of picks.
Yeah, and I think, Zarya's been pretty good. I think what you really get excited about is when the damage dealers come out for Decay. That's why they brought him into the roster. That's why a lot of teams in the league wanted to add this player coming into the season. The Gladiators got him. It's probably with the Gladiators fans, see Surefour move to the bench, probably kind of hard. But I think with the way Decay plays, makes it kind of work.
Pretty hard to complain, I think. And of course, their opponents have had their ups and downs, but they've made some changes recently. Let's welcome him to the stage. The beast from the east, it is the Boston Uprising. This roster now, Matt, the result of what you called a trade that actually benefited both parties. I think the Boston Uprising and the Dallas Fuel, with RCK coming in to this lineup. We've seen him play a ton of different stuff. Definitely expectations should be high. You can see Fusion's walking out of the stage. Either he's had a bad burrito or he's just psyching himself up.
Hey man, I think as time goes on, this is the first team that we see after the homestand come out play against an LA team. It won't be exactly warm receptions, just like it used to be, right? So I think the Boston Uprising, though, they bring in RCK, gives them a different look. They can play some more somber compositions. He can still play the Diva, not as high of note, I would say, but I think still brings a very strong Diva to the team. It's really around Fusion, so you build this roster around Fusions now, see how far you can take them.
And they will, as we said, be taking on the Juggernauts, the team that are 1 win away from a 7-0 stage. Let's bring them out to the stage, the Los Angeles Gladiators.
Gladiator, Gladiator, Gladiator.
We saw what a Dallas home crowd is like. These guys are very much used to being the center of attention. They didn't have to go out to Dallas and deal with a hostile crowd. They don't know what they've been through, but they are definitely here to continue to stack up good result after good result.
Yeah, I think an undefeated stage for the Gladiators would, they'd obviously be happy with it, but I still think you kind of view them as your 4th best team, at best right now, I think, with, how good Vancouver, the Shock, and NYXL have been. I still think the Gladiators kind of fall right behind them. I think the playoffs will really be a proving point for them.
I know, that's going to be definitely the most explosive part. Because obviously our playoffs last stage were interesting, but obviously with New York falling out of the mix, maybe we weren't as shocked with the end result, but this stage 2 playoffs is going to be exciting.
I mean, they've had an undefeated run, but they haven't played anybody at the top. I think if Boston's going to have a chance today, though, Fusions has to get the better of Roar. I think Fusions is the player that I know after World Cup gets signed to Boston. We were all expecting him to start. Once Gamsu moved out, you can see his per 10-minute stats on Rhine. Really, fire strike kills, that doesn't really do much for me.
But it makes you wonder how much he's charging up enemies' eyes if he's using it that frequently, or perhaps it's the way in which he's using it. I don't know exactly how much of an art there is to fire striking, Matt.
And look, 18th and fewest deaths, got to keep him alive. He's obviously the aggressive player for this team, trying to push the pace. I like how Bumper is for the Titans, but the Titans keep Bumper alive.
I think he's also focused down a lot more. When teams look
Yeah.
at Boston, they definitely think of getting Fusions out of the mix because he's their shot caller. He's their main voice. He's your map set now, presented by Toyota, and Oasis will be our first staging ground. Hanamura, our second map. And we head to Blizzard World and Rialto for our escort type maps. And yeah, Raw versus Fusions. Raw also is known to be quite an aggressive player. I wonder, you know, the Gladiators, do they try and focus down on Raw? Because you know what happened, Matt? The Valiant tried to focus down Dallas Fuel's main tank over the homestand, and they got punished very badly by a very high-charged AKM on Zarya. So you have to spread the love a little bit, and if you try and focus one player, Boston should know this. They'll be like, I bet you they're going to go after Fusions. Let's protect them and use that to our advantage.
I mean, I think the difference, though, is that if Roar gets aggressive, he has the great backup of Big Goose, Shaz, Hydration, you know, everybody, really. You know, you can kind of go down the list to keep him alive. RCK comes out on May, so Boston, they're in a little bit of something different here. At the Gladiators, the May wall, nice here, separates them pretty good.
Just the right size to cut off any chance of retreat. The Gladiators got themselves into a compromising situation, and that might be one of them. Hydration gets caught out. He can pretty much owe most of that to the wall from RCK. And now he's in a great position to get some poke and get towards that Blizzard that much quicker.
And you hate going up against the May. Like 1 or 2 fights where the May gets that wall, splits you off, makes it difficult to push in. You know the other team's building ults, the frustration just sitting on your side. This time everybody gets on the right side of the wall here for the Gladiators, but still, it's gonna be Fusions with 2 as the Boston Uprising just pushing right on through.
The wall there laid down by RCK, not so much splitting apart the Gladiators, but preventing them from retreating in an efficient manner. They had to move in towards the side room, which is kind of dangerous considering they're already kind of split in disarray.
And also, what do? Do you try and focus down May, then she just gets an ice block, heals, and then you have to go work on everybody else. You're getting chipped down on the way in, so RCK moves up here. Wants to take a little bit of a different angle for the wall.
Oh, okay. Attempt from the Gladiators there definitely to bait the wall out, and it worked. Raw wasn't so much cut off on the rest of his team, he was just propelled a little bit higher up. He's able to step back and drop down. Fusion's shield is very low. He had to go for a shadow, but there was no real connection there. Shaz now Transcendence, Blase going for the rally here. Raw being focused down, but there's so much healing for him. Gets frozen up a little bit now. There's a Blizzard. That's a pretty big catch. Decay. Raw Void caught in that one there, and Shaz goes down. Nice pick off there. The Transcendence was already used, but the Boston Uprising, this May pick, making a huge difference.
The Blizzard comes in there towards the end. They're able to pick up some kills even through the sound barrier that comes down from Big Goose. So you'll have Rally in terms of support ultimates here for the Gladiators. You have sound barrier on the other side, so that'll kind of, you know, weather the storm through the grab that comes down from Decay. Color Hex able to hold on to his grab as well through that whole fight. So really just one fight here. If you're Boston, you consider playing up close here, getting a good like wall plus then the grab right after, but looks like they're going to back out once the first wall doesn't work.
Gladiators might not know how to play against this map because they've not really made any big changes to their composition. They're still trying this one. Blase down, but Raw is taken by Color Hex after the charge connects. Big Goose caught inside a Graviton, and yes, he was given a bubble, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. It's a deluge of damage, and Hydration and Decay are knocked to the ground. With 99% on the clock, the Boston Uprising, yes, the Bardic Grenaders, they strike it off, and now the Transcendence comes out from aim, got after the Bionade, timed out. Now it's going to be tough. They can't even get to the point. The Maywall has so many applications, and again, Big Goose goes down. All he was trying to do was stall it out. It was a one-man attempt at Earth Shatter onto Blase, but he just blocked it. And the Boston Uprising, they hold all the cards right now. Raw, nothing he can do to get away from this, and a Wrecking Ball on the point is all well and good, but Hydration will be slowed down and put on ice.
Oh, and I mean, the Maywall comes in from RCK. What happens? They follow it up right with the Blizzard, so they can't get on to the point. It's just so much delay, so much separation. So the May really pays off there on our first point. Will you be able to do that again? Will you have to try and do something else? Don't think we'll see the May again. As I know, that's really the point that utilizes May the best. I mean, maybe we'll see it again.
I'm kind of surprised it's taken us this long to sort of see it, because it may, at least over the last couple of months, was quite often used in our contenders regions and our contenders scenes, especially on maps like Control Center on Lijiang Tower, which is of a similar nature to what we just saw on University, where it is there are less ways to get onto the point. You can block, retreat, or advance.
I mean, no other points to really work for May, so I don't think you'll see May played in the rest of this map, but you'll have a triple DPS comp that comes out for the Boston Uprising, so Pharah, Widowmaker, in Sombra. RCK very good on Sombra. That's where we saw him excel with the Dallas Fuel. So you'll have Decay playing Sombra. So interesting you won't have a Zarya here for the Gladiators. They're going to go with dive tanks with the D.Va and the Winston play.
Life's good for RCK. If he hacks Void, he just sits there and shoots him. He gets quick and easy ultimate charge, and that's a huge Bardic Grenade. Big connection from Aim God. And the Gladiators tried to limp away. Now Shaz is able to at least give some healing, but they've lost Void's mech as well. The good turnaround, though, Void.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my lord. Getting rid of Color Hex there, but also RCK on the follow-up. Fusions now has to get out. I'm definitely looking at Decay now, Matt, in a position where he can be more of a playmaker than he was in the previous rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zarya, you can only do so much, right? You're relying on your tanks, you know, build up charge. I think when we get to 3-3, you don't really get to see Decay kind of go off his own, make plays, where I think definitely now that you see the Sombra player able to do some Coalescence, you'll be able to follow this up. Whether you want to use this to put some damage down on the Pharah or whatnot. That'll have Kelix actually use Valkyrie here, so Boston's going to try and fight this with this big support ult.
Blase there, looks like he was probably had his wings clipped by Decay and then finished off. Color Hex, hoping the Gladiators try and overextend or poke forward a little bit, but he's not exactly presented with a wealth of options where he's playing from right now. He needs some high ground.
Yeah, and I think Kelix actually went for a res there, and he got whip shot away. Not able to get Blase up, so you really get nothing from that Valkyrie, just uses it. Gladiators back on up. Boston doesn't want to move on in. The Gladiators, I mean, this is at 50% now. I mean, with the way these fights go, you could see this get to 70-80% just here.
Now, for the last 12 or so seconds, Decay was revealed. He couldn't sneak up on the Sombra and get that EMP off because of the infra sight. And then when he finally does, it doesn't work out. Color Hex is still able to find him. Another strong Widowmaker performance from the New Zealander. Shaz disintegrates in the middle of the map. But bear in mind, as dominant as that looked from the Boston Uprising, they lost that first fight. And they're behind in a big way in percentage here.
Yeah, and I mean, they got to use a ton of ults to get through that, right? Use Nano Boost, Rocket Barrage, EMP. You're nowhere close to your Valkyrie again, so you'll see they'll come back with Self-Destruct and Primal Rage. It's a nice biotic grenade here from Aim God.
This is going to get worse as well. Fusion with a pile driver and a minefield, making it hard for hydration to really make any sort of progress. Fusions does note, of course, someone up on the high ground, but he kind of ignores it with Shaz before he dropped down. But Color Hex finds another pick. The supports are getting punished by this Widowmaker and Pharah combination.
And Roar uses a Primal Rage, and he gets all the way into the backline, and he takes out Aim God. As Aim God dies, he also like shoots a Desperation Sleep Dart that connects. So he gets put to sleep. Kelix walks over while he's watching him. He reses up Aim God right back. And they're able to deal with the Primal Rage. Winston after that. Really sick play that comes out. Well, I mean, you know, it's a really nice play from Roar to get in the back line, being able to take out his support while the Mercy pocket's there. But really sick play by Aim God, put him to sleep, allows the race to come through.
In the absence now of Azaya for the Gladiators, they don't have the playmaking potential of Graviton Surge.
But you see here, they just get a hack on a Void, and he's just getting shipped down at range by the Widow and the Wrecking Ball.
We've actually seen this as well. A couple teams have gone for, you know, keeping the D.Va instead of the Zarya. But probably against Pharah composition, it makes more sense. But you do obviously lose the grab combo with the bomb. Aim God's loving life, man.
I mean, you have to back out here if you're the Gladiators. I mean, this is one fight territory, and you're walking in an EMP, Minefield, Nano. It is not looking good. I mean, Boston's going to have all 6 ultimates here. Same for Gladiators, though. As, this is one that they're gonna end up getting this EMP. You're not probably gonna have your Primal though. Early EMP that comes out for Boston. Really nice play.
That's beautiful. There was no chance the Gladiators to get in. Even if they tried to, Color Hex could see Decay right now because of Infrasight. There's no way for the Gladiators to actually sneak a Sombra into position to get an effective EMP. And now Blase gets to rule the skies. Void's being put under so much pressure, he's constantly getting hacked, which means he can't fly up to deal with the Pharah, let alone use Defense Matrix. And Fusions is harassing the backline, constantly displacing them. Now dropped down again. Big Goose in the air. Bionic Grenade connecting from Aim God, who's had a great round so far, but he's picked off by Void after the fact. Fusions might have to stall out a little bit here. Boston, see if they can force an EMP. If they can get Decay to part with that one here, it'll be worth it, but they weren't able to put up enough of a resistance.
Man, that was their shot. I mean, they had it. I mean, they get the good early EMP, exactly what you wanted. They pick up Decay before he has an opportunity to EMP of his own. And then when they come back and they still extend the fight to Gladiators, they don't even need to use the EMP to do it.
Decay's taking no chances. He gets Color Hex and Aim God was removed there by Shaz's Biotic Orb. But having those two out of the picture is going to gut the Uprising. They conditionally have a chance to contest here, but the Gladiators playing so far forward, Matt, I really don't see them touching. Kellex,
Yeah. I mean, Fusion is on it with Minefield, but I mean, this would be an unbelievable clutch. I mean, there's not a chance, all right? I mean, he has to back on out. Nope, gonna get hacked, not able to get a touch. You know, Boston had the right read there. You know, when you had the EMP go in, use it right away, they're just not able to get a point win off of it. So we do have one more point. 2 decided here on Oasis. But I did like the idea. Go in, use those ults early, really try and punish them in the choke. And I feel like they just let it slip. I mean, they get the kills in the choke. They let Decay, you know, they kill Decay before he can use EMP, and they're still not able to just pick up those stragglers.
Big contribution from Colorhex on the Widowmaker across that round. And again, the Sombra play, Decay, was ultimately the one that put the final nail in that previous round. With an EMP, they only connected with 2. He was looking for the Pharah Mercy duo, didn't catch them, but they got aim god. Got rid of the Ana.
So here you go, you get Doomfist in now. So I wonder, yeah, looks like Boston's gonna stay on this, so no switches. Gladiators, looks like they'll play with this as well. So Doomfist usually pretty poor against Sombra, like Doomfist when he gets hacked, not a lot he can do. But now I think it puts some pressure on Decay, like do you just hack Fusions, let's say, and let the Doomfist go up behind enemy lines and just do stuff like this, right? Or do you go for the hacks on the Doom?
You're not going to get that kill, that's right. Hydration, very clever. Doesn't try and swing the mace, but just keeps the shield up. And there wasn't really much that could be done to get rid of him after he was knocked up. Great kill from Raw, of course, to deal with that Doomfist threat. And now Boston with a player down, and Fusion's being hacked on the point. Really, there's just no way they're getting anywhere.
Yeah, and I think what Blase probably expected was his Wrecking Ball to come in and follow it up. But Fusions is actually hacked on the point. He gets hacked twice, back to back. So no opportunity for him to get over there, potentially provide some follow-up. So it'll be the Gladiators who control the point first.
It definitely looked like Blase was forced down from the high ground because Decay was peppering him.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't want to get hacked, right? I mean, he hangs out there. He
gets hacked, he's absolutely dead.
Oh.
Decay going down there. That actually happened back in towards spawn. I think Decay was trying to harass Fusions as he came out of spawn. Fusions just shut him down, though. Now without Decay, who would have had EMP if he was around in this fight, he's coming out of spawn. Blase gets the finish on Shaz there, rocket punch, and yeah, Big Goose is down. Now you pretty much achieved your win conditions here, getting rid of the support line of the Gladiators, which is always impactful. And yeah, Decay comes back, hangs out in the fight, gets that EMP. But after getting spawn camped by Fusions there, he's probably pretty wary of the Wrecking Ball.
Yes, I don't want to have that happen again. I think when you have the Sombra and it dies first with EMP, I mean, you play so much around the EMP and being able to land a big one. So now you'll have EMP on both sides, so who gets the better of who? It seems like Decay was recognized here. I think he wants to get this far in Mercy. He did on the last point trying to connect with them.
You'll need to translocate to get them, which means he won't have a means of escape, so he needs to make this work. Colorhex goes down to Rory, just chases the Pharah as she descended, unable to sort of take flight at all. Raw trying to get rid of Shaz here, but he can fade away pretty comfortably, but Blase's able to find 2 here. This might have, again, worked against the Gladiators. There's so much focus, man, on trying to shut down Colorhex, and we mentioned this at the start of the round. Blase will be free to cause chaos and mayhem on the point.
Yeah, I mean, they don't connect with a hack onto Blase with the EMP, and he's able to just run around, pick up some insta-kills, right? And Doomfist, once you start hitting those combos, generating the shield, he becomes like having another tank out there. I mean, he can get up to like 400 HP at times. So you do have the Uprising now take control in terms of percentage. Sound Barrier and Coalescence will be on the board here for the Glads.
Hardly any mid-round switches to speak from the Gladiators after fights that they've lost. Decay staying on the Sombra here once more. Still hoping to make that impact. The hack's still important, but nice timing on the Sound Barrier there from Big Goose. And that was an upper hydration there, but to deal with Blase with the whip shot. That's risky. Colorhex drops in. The Diva was right in front of him. He's able to get hydration at the very least, but you want more for that in a fight like this. Coalescence now. I mean, across the point as Shaz been training with King Kai for a little bit, but Kellex has gone down. Colorhex is in trouble. Very hard for him to get away from this. Coalescence and the follow-up from Void was solid.
Boston's going to be able to fight this, though. You get the Doomfist here. You still have Fusions on the point, so they got their Moira here as well. So they can get this to 99 potentially. And then you're looking at just one fight. This, you see RCK back. Looks like they might want to fight this a little bit more seriously enough. Decay picking up 2. So we head into overtime. They get it to 99, and they get EMP off of that.
Double-edged sword in staying in contesting this point. While the Gladiators are attempting to capture it, you do give Decay an EMP for the next fight. The Boston Uprising are expecting to probably have 2 fights to deal with. So hey, if they get EMP'd here, it's not the end of the world. Again, they're hard to catch in an EMP map. If you're trying to get Color Hex and Kellex, who else are you really getting? They didn't get Blase last time and he punished them for it. The Boston Uprising comp does not stick together.
Yeah, and with the way they are right now, I mean, they're split kind of 3-3. It's like they want to get the Mercy in it, but as Shaz actually gets picked up here. So you do have the EMP come through right after that kill comes down. RCK still holding on to his EMP.
I think this time it worked, man. They got Color Hex and Blase going down after that one. Kellex was hacked, so he couldn't use the Valkyrie to get extra healing on the point. And Void, that's probably just icing on the cake. The Gladiators have to commit here because they would have lost the round otherwise. But now, with Boston taking a while to set up in an elongated fight, they won't have a chance to come back. Fusions has to stall here. Hydration misses a shield bash, which will give Fusions a bit more time to roam around the point here. But he needs to touch. He's not able to be body blocked by Void. And yes, the stall is on. Void, he's not going to be knocked off the edge by that one. Concussive blast to knock him out of position, but Kellex is in danger. Void had him in his sights. RCK down to the boot. Kellex trying to get himself out of trouble here. The Boston Uprising know that they can fight this now. They need to stabilize, and Kellex gets the Resurrect.
It's big. They get the Resurrect on RCK. No EMP, but still, the ability to get these hacks on the point here towards the end is going to be massive. You see, they just put a lot of pressure on Void, push him back. Boston close to flipping this.
Instant impact from the Doomfist for now. The point is Boston's. The Gladiators have to do something. Decay comes back on the Tracer here, but Blase deletes Void also fast. Hydration, though. He's bringing his own gauntlet, and he's the one to snap his fingers. Then he could be in trouble here. Needs to get airborne and back behind his support line. But now with the Doomfist online for the Gladiators, they've got to be feeling better. Sound Barrier comes in. Void and Decay do not benefit from that one as they're not quite in position for it. But Hydration could do some work here. The Gladiators still need to retake control, though. That means getting rid of Fusions.
Yes, you're going to have some more players come back from the Uprising here. That'll be the Meteor Strike that comes in from Blase. Doesn't get anything. Hydration is another kill, man.
Sending a message and trying to win the round at the same time. That's multitasking. Hydration, it was a rocket punch across the point, just hoping that Kellex would show a bit longer, but Shaz was there to chase him down. And when you look with this, Color Hex, he got caught there and he couldn't take action and recall even if he wanted to because he was knocked into the air. The burst damage was good, and yeah, it's a 5-man EMP on the Los Angeles Gladiators, but the numbers aren't favoring Boston. RCK doesn't seem to care though. He is nano boosted, here to do some work. Hydration goes down, another one for RCK, and he's looking to try and carry this one on his back. Translocates back to the point, and now the cavalry has arrived. Fusions is back on the point here. The Wrecking Ball is having an impact. Blase getting rid of Raw here. A very long, drawn-out fight, but it looks like the Boston Uprising able to weather the storm. Decay goes down.
They're going to flip
Chad is close, though. He can stall. He might just wait for a little bit and fade on and keep the round going, but he's blown up. That round had everything, and the Doomfist went ham. The Boston Uprising take map number 1 and one of the longest overtimes on a control point I've seen. Nothing Stuff will be back right after this with map 2.
Nice. Let's go, boys.
High fives. High fives, boys.
Oosh. Alright, good round, boys.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, one and all. That first map was absolutely insane. Oasis has given us some pretty epic clashes in the past, but that overtime fight map was huge. By the way, those skins you just saw, the Lucio and Mercy skins, they're available between May 7th and May 22nd for 200 Overwatch League tokens. Splish Splash, get yourselves on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Tracer and Genji ones from last year. I'll get these. I don't know how much run they'll get. You know, there's reports.
I think I'll see them. I'll probably get a bit more out of them.
Oh, yeah. When we stack, of course. Yeah, that's you'll get real good use
I'm waiting for an Ana one, though, you know? That's what
I feel you.
Speaking of which, Ana, big nano boost on towards RCK at the end of that round. We had a nano Sombra. RCK got 2 kills after the EMP.
Yeah, I mean, he gets like a 6-player EMP, and then right after that gets the nano boost from Aim God. Aim God actually had no other option but to nano boost RCK. He's the only player there.
Press.
Yeah, and it allows him to, I think he gets a DMEC on the Void during that entire thing. Blase comes back. Wild round. That starts off with Boston at 99, and then 99-99 in favor of Boston. Then it flips. It goes 99-99 in favor of the Gladiators back to Boston. It's just a wild ending. I think we can take a look. So yeah. Gets the DMEC on a Void, that's massive. He's got the self-destruct there as well.
It's a huge EMP in general. The Decay gets hacked up again, so his effectiveness as Tracer is severely limited. Even if RCK's not eliminating the Tracer at that point, Decay can't really get close to his foes without walking straight up to them. That was fantastic. And yeah, I said that the Gladiators, Boston might have 2 fights to come back in, but when you have a Wrecking Ball, your fights always go a little bit longer than normal. Yeah. So, you know, as a team that is sort of playing against a Wrecking Ball-based team, you need to realize that there will be more stall. Hanamura is going to be our second map, and here is that first point. This is point B. And the attackers, which will be Boston first, Matt, have to capture.
I would also say for the Gladiators, we have seen Sherpor come in on Hanamura in the past. No substitutions here today, so a little bit of a change in plans here for the LA Gladiators. They're going to go with a bunker setup on defense, the Orisa, Bastion, but T setup. They're gonna have Decay playing Sombra here.
Yeah, that is a big concession to, you know, the potential for Wrecking Ball and for Farah here. It's like the Gladiators are preparing themselves for that. Big goose.
Yeah, I mean, RCK just get killed going through the choke. Probably was invisible, and then just some spam came through the choke, connected with him, and
you have Batiste, Orisa, and Bastion for spam, plus the D.Va. Pretty easy for you to spot that kind of stuff.
They've got hydration on the move here, though. Usually you see the Bastion like set up here on the high ground. They've somehow forced him into this position, but you know, maybe you just get a really nice crossfire with the Orisa on one side and the Bastion on the other.
I think they're expecting to have to fight on the point eventually anyway. I think they figured if they play on the other side of the map that Boston would just go up around the far right side where they're playing now. So RCK again goes down. He seems to be having some difficulty, Matt, getting through the choke undetected.
I mean, Fusions has to back out. I mean, you want the Sombra to get up towards this high ground, eventually get like a hack off on one of those players. It's an interesting setup. Usually you see with this bunker setup, the Bastion set up on the high ground, right next to the Orisa. Makes it a little bit of an easier dive target, but really odd angles here from Hydration.
Yeah, who do you dive, I suppose?
Yeah, it's not really a great target. I mean, even with the Widow, like, what are you doing here? I mean, look at those sight lines you got. I mean, nothing.
Kellex going down there. Fusions does find his way onto the point, and the Gladiators concede a little bit of capture progress, but they just step back on there. Both Decay and Void are very well equipped to deal with individuals that are trying to drag the entirety of their team back to the point. Because in all fairness, Roar and Hydration are not mobile. They do not want to be having to go to the point physically standing on it. This is going to be filthy. Blase is looking for a barrage at extremely close range. Though. Get out! Get out! That don't happen today, fam!
Oh, I was just going to say, I was like, how do you get to this position undetected? And clearly he was not undetected. They do
something about
well, he was there.
Something about a character with literal rockets strapped to them doesn't sound very stealthy to me, but it's just a personal thing.
So Roar used the supercharger and gets taken out here. You may be able to make a play for Boston. It'll be the nano boost that goes on to Void, just to give him that extra beep to stay on the point.
Fusion's just rocking out of Decay's hack range. So 1 ticket permanent progress almost gained for Boston. They haven't quite got it yet, but Hydration of Shaz now going down. Blase finally gets a chance to use that barrage, and he's brought back for another bite at the apple. Color Hex is set up on the point of Big Goose again, who's a very susceptible target to Widowmaker. It's going to get picked off. The Uprising eventually find their way onto the point. But there are a lot of things that happen simultaneously. It was Color Hex that really opened up the account for Boston after that attempted airborne espionage mission went wrong.
Now you do have some changes that come in for Boston. Okay, changes all over the place. So I was gonna say, how do you expect to play Ryan Zarya? Genji, not ideal.
Some lack of synergy there, perhaps.
So they're gonna go straight up 3-3. They're gonna walk into hydration here, playing the Bastion at least one more time. Okay, so more changes here come out. So now they want to play now they want to go back to the Genji. All right, so it seems like they've discussed it. So I think this is something more where they probably view the Gladiators staying on this a little bit longer. So hydration now goes over to Torbjorn. So we just have a good old-fashioned game of mystery here.
I love this. Okay, so it really seems like on this map, the Gladiators coaching staff have been trying to set up crossfires, but Decay getting taken down means their sort of flanking threat has been removed, and they all just dive on a Raw together. He's able to get away, and in the back, there's an amplification matrix being thrown down. Colorhex dives in, and Big Goose's immortality field has been removed.
Do you think they'll stay on this Torbjorn here against the Genji Hanzo? I mean, usually Genji and Hanzo pretty strong against Torbjorn.
Am I answering that with my brain or my heart?
Your heart, then your brain.
Then no, then wait. Yes, they will stay on it. Then no, they won't. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Look, in all fairness, like you can still get value out of your Molten Core because the Uprising, they have a divey composition, but they have to play on the point. It's not good though.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great, but it adds a little bit of extra sting to that little bunker setup Raw has.
Yeah, I like this, like the way they have the turret set up on the high ground behind the Orisa shield. It's an interesting little look.
It's like a 7th player in some senses. And Decay, look, they're trying to bait a dive on towards that Orisa. Oh, Decay. Okay, yeah. Nice little pincer there.
You don't even need a hack onto him either. It's just kind of way alone.
He thought about it, but then he realized he'd get help, so it wasn't worth it. Raw is going to get dived on here by the grenade, going to make it hard for him to stay alive, and RCK just sprays a couple of bullets to the high ground and finishes him off. RCK just gets nano boosted no matter what hero he's playing, apparently. You see, he tries to pressure down Big Goose, but from the right side, Shaz is healing under Zenyatta. Now with that hack coming in, not much RCK can do. D.Va very useless when hacked. And they can also see that there is a bomb available for RCK. Here's that Molten Core coming out onto the point. Hydration. It really remains to be seen how much value he's going to get with that one, but it does at least force the Uprising to think twice about playing on the point.
I mean, he drops the Molten Core like right around his supports and like in the line
I'm
to
here
the
for it.
supports. And I mean, Colorhex, I'm surprised they used the nano boost on the RCK. He picks up 2.
You have to wonder.
But you just got you were gonna have a Dragon Blade in what, 3 seconds, 4 seconds at that point? I mean, you got the blade right after that.
Clearly they felt that keeping him alive was...
So now we think Bastion's the answer. Oh, no, we got the Roadhog here.
Do you think this is the answer? The Roadhog switch here, getting rid of the Torbjorn, sadly. He's done his job. He's really spread the cheer on the point. Molten Core.
Roadhog's just a great deterrent, right, with the hook. I mean, for anybody trying to dive, which is exactly what Boston's got right now.
There it is!
Yeah.
Easy fishing. The Colorhex removed, that the nano blade is off the table. Aim God is getting another nano boost map very quickly. So despite him using it on RCK in the previous fight, he will have it when they're ready to set up, but I'd be afraid of the Roadhog big time now.
Yeah, but I mean, now you, on the other side, for the Gladiators, you're going to go in with the nano and the blade. You have Transcendence, you have a nano boost of your own, EMP, Primal to knock them away, like a ton to deal with it now. I mean, even the hook, right?
So if you're the coach of Boston Uprising, or if you're you're calling right now, if you switch off this Genji, do you just say how do we get these ults?
I mean, you have to probably consider going to a 3-3. Well, with actually a minute on the clock, I think you're kind of you're past.
You're trapped in.
Probably
Right?
you're kind of strapped. I mean,
losing that old economy would just make it impossible.
Well, you're conceding defeat at that point.
Fusion's, well, didn't get to use Primal Rage. He'll have a chance to do so now. He's brought back into the fight by Kelex's Resurrect. Okay, Colorhex definitely going to stay out of line of sight for now. Nano boost used again, by the way, not on Colorhex. Transcenden's forced out, or you could say forced out. I mean, really, Colorhex is looking for kills there either way. And Kelex has gone down to that self-destruct, man. Not good. They need that mercy in the fight, especially with how mobile Colorhex is been. And he is taken down by Raw, who gets 3. Oh, yeah. Winston doing a heck of a lot to Genji, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, like we were talking about, at that point, you've committed so much to this setup for Boston to switch with, what, a minute and 30 left. Like, you may have gotten a grab, but you would have been in a position like this where you're walking in trying to use a
So here's the
grab at the
3-3.
end, so
That came even later than
yeah,
you
but
suggested.
I mean, look, you got another EMP here for Decay, right? I mean, you just had one, you're gonna have another one. Is Fusion's gonna have to try and touch.
Oh, Fusion's getting knocked off. It's going to be long before he gets back to the point. And the Uprising are essentially walking into the ocean at this point. Can they find an opportunity now on raw individual ability? The answer is no. It is a resounding no, as the whole hog fends them off. And it will be the Gladiators to hold on that first point. Again, Matt, they need to be stacking those maps up here. They don't want to be behind the 8-ball, and thumbs up for the crowd in the front row. See you after the break. Now for the attack, the Gladiators.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Yeah, your boy Hydration's got plenty of tricks up of his sleeve. Torbjorn being one of them, the Roadhog. You've already seen the Doomfist, Matt. Let's talk a little bit about Boston's composition, because they mix and matched it a bunch after capturing point A. The Genji into Torbjorn is kind of tricky in and of itself already.
Like, I kind of get the when you run in the dive and you're gonna go against the Bastion, I get it. I think that just when they switch over to the Torbjorn, I think you had an opportunity to potentially play triple tank, triple support, just kind of overrun them up on the high ground, maybe barrel through it. But I think at that point, you know, you've committed so much to running the Genji. You're playing around the Nano Blade, right? You've had it. It's just they kind of never got like a really good push when they were able to use it. They used the Nano a little bit earlier on RCK to try and get like more progress on the point. But still, I think you probably could have made some changes if you're Boston a little bit earlier.
And it's tough as well. With 1 minute left, you don't want to make a switch off the composition. You have ultimates that could potentially win you a fight, even if you're disadvantaged on a fundamental basis, you know, based on your composition.
The Gladiators will switch off of this, I imagine. Actually, they connect with a Sleep Dart here on Color Hex.
Got by a grenade.
Do they stay on this first 3-3? I highly doubt it, but we have seen you know, interesting stuff. Maybe they stay on it because they see Reinhardt on defense. Yeah, so that's why.
I mean, look, I mean, I understand that a Winston defense here, maybe not ideal at this day and age. They didn't go for the Orisa setup or no sort of bunker, so you definitely understand the Gladiators wanting to punish the fact that they have to stick together.
With so much open space, though, like you don't have the ability to dive on anybody. I mean, look at this Pharah doing work right now. I mean, nothing can really contest it. All the free damage coming down.
And Hydration knows exactly where the Uprising want to fight. It's on the point. So he just sort of forces them off, concussive blasts them away, presses them with poke damage.
Yeah, the Uprising have backed themselves into their own corner, right? I mean, what do? How do you fight out of this? You have 2 ticks go on the point, and Decay can come now from the other side and poke a little bit, so...
Slow and steady, man. RCK, nice little pick on Decay, and I'm pretty sure that was, yeah, that was immunity before. You'd love to see that. Hydration getting rid of him in the end, and Color Hex able to find Nefari here. Perhaps flying a little bit too close to the sun was Hydration. Decay's back in the mix, but look at they're going to jump on him. Okay, I like that. Doesn't quite work as he gets given a nano boost there, and you can see how much value the Gladiators put on Decay, not only as a playmaker, but also getting that Soldier 76's damage back in the fight. Fusions just takes so much damage there. That charge was definitely one of desperation, but Color Hex has been able to find some kills later here in the fight. It's unlikely that it's going to do the job. Oh, okay, he gets 3! What? Yeah, even while he was EMP. Okay, yeah, no worries. Hydration now going to come in with the barrage. It was a little bit late arrival from RCK to shut him down, and again, with that minefield on the point here, Hydration can sort of hide from that one, hide away from Kellex. He won't get pushed, pressure down. That's so weird. That was bizarre.
So now they'll switch to Winston on D, but I imagine the Gladiators decide to swap off of that. Yep. Not going to stay on it for a visor, or potentially getting another like a nano visor set up from the high ground. They switch off. Boston now realizes that they have switched to the Reinhardt-based version, so we'll see them go over to Reinhardt as well. Batiste didn't play, though, here for the Gladiators, so no Brigitte. You're going to run Batiste, get up on the high ground, be able to provide some more healing and some more damage at range.
Teams have done this for Soldier 76 on attack in the past. Control that upper balcony and then get a tactical visor. Well, in this case, Hydration's extra damage with the potential Amp Matrix will be just as good. Even if Shaz is sitting up there with him, the two supports from the Gladiators could output a ridiculous amount of damage.
Well, I mean, the Gladiators are in position where they know that the Boston Uprising have a lot of ultimates, didn't really use anything. They have switched their entire composition, so working from scratch. So try and force some ultimates. Best case here is like Shaz picks one off early, right? And then you're forcing them to use some ultimates.
There's a touch on the point. Void's there. The Uprising have to deal with him and the rest of the players on the high ground. Graviton Surge thrown in. Self-destruct. Quite get the job done, but there was plenty of extra elbow grease to follow it up there from the Boston Uprising. And they use a lot of ultimates.
Yeah. They use Rally, they use Self-Destruct, they use Graviton Surge. They didn't use Sound Barrier or Transcendence, and they're still working their way up towards an Earth Shatter, but you use a lot of powerful ultimates there. That's kind of what the Gladiators wanted. Look, you're going to come back, you have your Amp Matrix, you have Grab, you have Transcendence. You just needed that one fight where Boston may have used a little bit too much to turn the tide.
Just a comfortable position to play from for Los Angeles. Look how close they are now to that first round of ultimates after having switched a lot of their composition. Grab for Decay. Granted, there will be support ultimates, so credit to the Boston Uprising for keeping both of those important support ults. Amplification Matrix thrown up here, but you see sheepishly RCK backs away and uses Defense Matrix to cancel out all the damage. It doesn't matter if you're getting double damage through the Matrix if it gets eaten up. So that was a good response. The Batiste ultimate essentially doesn't amount to much, but shields are cracked, health bars are damaged here on the side of the Uprising, and now it's time to start to lean into it a little bit more. First shadow attempt there for Raw, doesn't work out, he gets stunned up and taken down pretty much straight away. Shaz with the Transcendence now to match that of Aim God, but Hydration's Immortality Field has been removed. Big Goose trying to get away, but he gets caught out by Aim God, and now the Uprising can spring forth, and this is a great turnaround for Boston, Matt. They have a long time to hold out for. Despite Shaz trying to end the round cheekily, getting rid of Blase, they built up a lot of the ultimates they used in the prior fight.
Yeah, and Hydration moves off the Batiste suit. Don't really think you're getting a ton of value out of it. Nothing you can really do, like, I mean, you can put down some damage at range, right, with the Matrix, but you have like a 76 or somebody who could really, you know, do some work on the high ground. It's going to be another fight, though, man, where the Gladiator's going to walk in, they're going to try and get the Uprising to use, whether it's like Grab, Self-Destruct, maybe a Rally to kick things off, then turn the tide.
I think the Uprising want to try and use this Grab as soon as possible here. They don't want to give a long fight. The Gladiators a chance to regain some of the ultimates they've already used. Although Decay pretty much has his Grab back after one fight, which is quite remarkable. And it's 2 minutes and 35 seconds still on the clock for the Gladiators to get one tick of permanent progress. Yeah, he has to let the Grab go now. Good thinking by Color Hex, and Hydration Aim got it traded out there, but RCK, it's a double bomb. Void looked like he might have had an opportunity there. But once again, RCK, I would definitely consider him to be one of the more clutch, and I use that word all that often, the more clutch players in the league.
You do have no ultimates here, though, for the Uprising. So they're going to have a Rally to kick things off. You're going to have Grab and then a Shatter combo. Void actually uses Self-Destruct in the previous fight. When the Grab comes through from Color Hex, he's just trying to deter anybody coming in and laying down tons of damage. So throws the Self-Destruct out there in a more defensive manner to try and block, let's say, Fusion swinging crazy with the hammer on into it, picking up tons of damage.
You have to feel like now the Gladiators are playing a bit more into the Uprising's wheelhouse. Uprising are happy to play 3-3. In fact, they definitely look more solid on it. Shatters for both Reinhardt's definitely going to be coming out soon towards Decay, I thought. I thought I'd see something horrific, but no, he didn't go for the grab. It's far better than me. He definitely hold on to it. No worries there. But where the Gladiators go from here, Voiden's quite low. Decay gets shattered before he has a chance to even use it. And now the Gladiators are starting to run out of time. That comfortable position, Matt, that was kind of starting to erode.
And that play is set up. It's actually Kellex who boops Roar down from that mid-bridge down to the low ground, and that allows Fusions to get a free shatter there.
It's two very average shatters from Roar right now. And Fusions, however,
it's like a
timing.
Hey, that comes from the side.
Yeah, there it is. No Reinhardt, no problem.
60 seconds remaining.
I mean, you're already down here at a minute. I mean, all they need is one tick. And
Look, Boston have all their support ults, Matt. Yeah, Decay has a grab, but Decay's had 3 final blows this entire map. He's been very quiet. He has played a bunch of Sombra in all fairness, but Desire half for him hasn't really been productive.
Roar goes Winston here as well.
Early Transcendence from Chaz.
And they're trying to maybe force something out, but Boston, they just back up. They know they have so much space to work with.
What do you do with this? Transcendence straight away now. Maybe if you switch to Ana, you could have pioneered this somehow. Self-destruct thrown in by RCK doesn't look very good now. It's Color Hex's turn to step up with his grab, and that looks much better. And he's charged up. And he's ready to rumble. Gonna be Shaz caught up on the point. The Gladiators, if they have another fight, oh, they're gonna chase down Raw here. He needs to be able to get away. But what do they work with, Matt? Realistically, the Gladiators have hardly anything to really make an impact with. Maybe Primal Bomb, but there's a sound barrier from Kellex Fusions, another shatter coming.
Yeah, and then Shaz, you think with the Primal, you can probably build up a Transcendence out of this. Roar gets moved back, won't even get the touch.
I just want to see Hex's face right now, and he was correct. If you ever want to call on any team to play, spoiler, it's the Boston Uprising, and they're almost there. In fact, one more map is all they need, and they still look cool as cucumbers out there. It was the Gladiators that look a little bit dodgy, a little bit, how you going? We'll go to halftime to break things down. We'll be back on the other side.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
The Uprising are trying to ruin the Gladiators' perfect stage 2, and it won't take a reverse sweep to do it. Right now, they're up 2-0 over the hometown team at the break. Welcome back into the Blizz Arena. We have an awesome crowd, and I have some awesome experts here with me. It's Puckett, you know these two. It's Brennan, it's Sideshow. And we knew this was going to be a great match because both teams have incredible coaching staffs. But I don't think anyone predicted to see how many different looks both teams are showing so far.
I mean, Hex definitely kind of predicted this outcome, didn't he, on the desk? You know,
Not in the manner in which it happened, though.
Of course not. No, I mean, none of us were really expecting this, but it seemed like these teams had kind of just decided to play whatever they wanted to. Very interesting heroes coming out from both.
Absolutely, and I think this is really a battle between the two coaching staffs that we really respect in the league.
Huck versus DP.
Yes, Huck versus DP. It's a fantastic battle of the minds behind these teams. And I love that RCK adding to the Boston Uprising adds that flexibility. Was on the Mei, was on the Sombra, played a bunch
This
of different
play
heroes.
from Roar, though, guys, I don't think I've ever gotten a Primal Rage kill, let alone one that had to chase down Mercy back to the spawn. But really, the highlight for me, a Doomfist main, you've known, you've seen it, but now it's Blase showing off what he can do. Hydration even pulled out a Fist, but ultimately, Blase was the better man.
Yeah, phenomenal performance from him. A hero that he's well known for, actually. His Doomfist, we don't get to see him because he's normally on Brigitte. But I think we still, it comes back to the earlier point here, that we're seeing RCK flexing onto the Sombra. I mean, Boston are a team where usually they played, you know, the tried and tested compositions. They didn't flex around much. They played a consistent comp. 2018, it was the double sniper with the Orisa. But you can see here, in the heroes played in this match alone, the complete antithesis of the old Boston. This is the new
played half of
rejuvenated
them.
Boston. Exactly.
Half of the heroes in the game.
Ridiculous amount.
Ridiculous stuff right there. 27 heroes across those two teams. But that was just the first of two maps. Boston on the board first. We thought, all right, it's Hanamura. This is where the Gladiators are going to bounce back. What did you guys see as we went into our second map?
Well, the first thing that was a little surprising was no Surefour, and I think that comes into having set game plans for this game and not wanting to appear predictable. And so we got a weird situation where Boston decided to run a lot of Genji. They ran a Genji Hanzo. Both teams are experimenting a lot with their point A defenses, but they weren't really going very well. But both teams defended pretty well on point B, just with default triple tank, triple support.
This was a brutal game, though, as well, because watching Boston, also Gladiators to a point, I feel like these teams, they get into their own heads a little bit when it comes to the compositions that they run. They overthink it a little bit sometimes. Like, you can just switch to the triple tank, triple support. I know the people don't like it that too much, but I think their records will like it when they start winning on those compositions, because there was so many scenarios where, yes, they've got the ultimates, they had the Dragon Blade, they had the Nano Boost, but at the end of the day, what's going to break that composition is the comps that you've been practicing all this time.
Josh, do you agree with Coach Bren? Would you go triple tank, triple support in the second half if you're the Gladiators?
I think we've all enjoyed the creativity, but I do agree somewhat that there's some times where they should go back to their defaults. But frankly, I'm loving this battle of weird, unique compositions, so I want it to continue.
Coaches, keep it coming in the second half. Well, today the LA Gladiators are fighting for a perfect stage. It's not going so easy right now, but also remember, it wasn't easy at the beginning of the stage. It was really rough for this squad, and we sat down with Void and Roar to talk about how far the team has come and where they're going next.
Gladiators coming in. They are really on a tear right now.
What a hold for the LA Gladiators. The comps, the skill, that was beautiful. The Gladiators, that's a team wipe, cannot get the victory against this squad. Oh!
And the Gladiators just keep on rolling.
저희가 8연승을 지금 거두고 있는데 팀원들이 서로 소통을 좀 많이 하고 다들 노력하는 분위기 때문에 조금씩 나아지고 있는 것 같아요, 저희가. 3월 초부터 경기를 진 적이 없는데 경기를 이긴 건 물론 좋지만 경기력이 아쉬운 경기들도 있어서 더욱더 노력해야 된다 생각하고요.
Gladiators still trending upwards right now after a rocky start in stage 1.
스테이지 1 때랑 지금이랑 다른 거는 계속 고정된 로스터를 하다 보니까 팀업도 좋아지고 같이 들어왔던 DK 선수도 들어왔고 리파 선수도 이제 경기를 뛸 수 있게 돼서 좀 더 폭넓은 팀의 조합을 맞출 수 있게 되었고 그래서 좀 더 저희가 상대하기 까다로운 팀이 된 것 같아요.
Now they have their sights set on those stage 2 playoffs and entering the conversation of our elite teams here in the Overwatch League.
플레이오프에 진출이 확정됐는데 다음 경기만 바라보면서 연습을 하고 있습니다. 플레이오프 때 우승하겠습니다. 1등.
The Gladiators are trying to keep those shields up in the second half. You can see just that this team is finding their momentum right now. But we've seen Boston pull off so many reverse sweeps. Can LA do it to Boston today, Bren?
I think it's possible. Right now, Deepe's probably in the corridors just kind of shouting at his team and saying, like, what's going on, guys? You know, we're kind of crumbling a little bit under the pressure here. It's entirely possible. These teams are fantastic. I had a feeling if there was any team to beat LA Gladiators and stop this win streak, it would be Boston here today. But we know that they're capable of much more.
And Josh, I have to ask you, if the Gladiators do lose to Boston today, are they now dropping down a tier in your mind? Are they no longer with the big dogs like the Titans and the Shock at the top?
Well, I've never had them in that tier, I think. I don't think the LA Gladiators, they were in the conversation to start approaching that, but the kind of play that we've seen here today is a step below what the top three are capable of. But having said that, I mean, New York ended up dropping a game to Atlanta. You can have dips in performance and still be an incredibly good team, but I want to see more from Gladiators in terms of playing tight and playing together.
This one's not over yet. It's Boston in the lead with a 2-0 advantage. But can the Gladiators finish with a perfect stage? Find out if they can rattle off 3 in a row after the break.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Perhaps not the expected result here at halftime between the Boston Uprising and the LA Gladiators, but this is a kind of a classic Boston Uprising game. I feel like this, like I said before the break, if there's any team that I'd call on to play spoiler, it'll be them or, you know, a team like Philly.
Well, I mean, I think Boston is a team where, you know how a lot of other teams in the league we talk about where they play down to their competition sometimes. I feel like Boston always rises up, plays better against the top teams.
I see what you did there, bro. Yeah, and let's have a look.
I'm good. I'm learning from
at
you.
the Gladiators' schedule here, Matt, because it's been a very successful stage. But is this the match for them?
Like, if you lose this, I mean, really, you know, those games in the middle, even into the one against the Hunters was close, Dragons close. I mean, you still get wins, right? But I think we're definitely talking about this Gladiators team much differently if they end up dropping this series to Boston. It's like, if they end up losing here to Boston, do you trust them in a first round? Let's say if they get like a 4-5 seed against like an NYXL, like I don't know, or even against like London, right? Like where do they rank? Because I think we've always talked about, you know, now that they've been on this run, clearly, you know, you're 4 in your top 4, right? But where does this place them if they drop this?
And what does it mean for their playoff chances as well? Because yes, we're definitely thinking about season playoffs, but a lot of fans are very excited to see the Gladiators take on those top you know, 7 other teams in the playoff format.
I mean, I would be stunned if they're not in the overall season playoff. I think just talking about the stage, that's kind of where you have to draw that. Like, I think the Gladiators over the course of the year are going to be one of the stronger teams. I think right now they are. I think as the season goes on, they'll probably even get better. Like, I mean, they have such a... Everybody in the Gladiators can play so many different heroes. I think it makes it...
I think this is 2 teams that have demonstrated great depth from their coaching staff as well.
Yes.
We've seen tricks. We've seen really interesting tricks from both of these rosters here. So these are 2 very effectively, but also quite extensively coached rosters.
Yeah, I think Boston, I think you can definitely say about their coaching staff, like, they get the absolute best out of their players. I know, great scouting, great game planning. I think I know Deep is something to be said about having a roster that is very good, highly touted, big expectations, and meeting those expectations, right? It's really easy for sometimes the wheels to kind of fall off the bus, so to speak, where they'll keep everything intact, keep the strategies good, fresh.
So we haven't mentioned the compositions because they're fairly standard, with the exception, I guess, of Shaz playing Ana, which is a hero he is known for. Obviously, we've seen him mostly play Zen this season, but Big Goose has been doing a bit of that this series. So the Boston Uprising, they're waiting here again. For what? Probably this Fusion Shield to charge up because they knew they were going to put their noses to the grindstone here. Bubble's already been used on Fusions. Look at the health bars up the top because Colorhex got put to sleep and removed.
Yeah, and I mean, the Ana on defense here, sitting up on that high ground, if Void protects Shaz just even a little bit, you're able to just land so many sick nades onto the point.
The angle is great for sleep darts as well. Normally, if you're on the same level as a Reinhardt, getting a sleep dart bite grenade will require you to wait till he puts his shield down. But when you're playing from that upper area, you just lob it on his head. And sleep darts, that's also why you want to play Sopra from up there, because getting those hacks is much harder to interrupt. Aim God was hoping to hide out for something. That was many things, but it's not one of them.
With the way Roar and some of the other players are moving, they knew that that was not a full team kill, so they get that kill there on Aim God. But even the Ana on defense, you get the fight on the point, and let's say they go with a Transcendence from Boston, you have a really nice angle to potentially land a big biotic grenade to eliminate all that Transcendence healing on the point. So Shaz is set up on that back high ground. That's where you're going to see him sat. You saw Void up there as well, trying to protect him. Yep.
I'm a sucker for Ana POV, man. Nano boost. Actually for Raw here. See now again. Look at, you can see how this angle allows him to do a lot, and he's staying safe by hiding behind this small little rowboat. It is a rowboat, yeah. He stays out of line of sight. He's still able to heal his team. The Boston Uprising do not really have the ability to accost him outside of RCK going up there, and then, well, Void's going to be there to protect him. Here it is, though. Transcendence. Now, will this be interrupted by a nasty biting grenade? You bet. Blaze and Colorhex can't be healed despite being in the Transcendence, and Fusion's just got torn to shreds.
Yeah, I mean, also with the Ana, you have a huge advantage in terms of healing output as well, right? Compared to having, like, Zen. I mean, Zen's going to be able to put down some more damage, but the Gladiator is able to hold on there. On deep, just use the grab. And I think Boston, what you worry about is you're saving up these ultimates for, like, one fight. If that fight doesn't go your way, you're looking at getting full held here.
And look, the Gladiators have not been sort of stressed into using it.
I mean, they haven't been challenged really at all.
Again, watch the health bars. Early damage trades could decide the way the fight goes. Void actually takes a big hit early. Big Goose holding on to the sound barrier here, and the rallies have come out. Also, a nano boost has been used here. That's probably why the Uprising are playing a bit slower. Here it is, though. Graviton Surge being used, self-destruct over the top. It was Aim God actually to go down. There was a chance there.
Yeah, well, but Fusion's charges come through, and the self-destruct goes behind and takes out Aim God there, so...
If there's one thing, Matt, that the Gladiators are potentially susceptible to, it is Graviton Surge. They don't have a Zenyatta, so they're not going to have Transcendence to stave off the damage that will be coming at you while they're all playing together. That's right.
So, I mean, now you're going to be a Graviton Surge here from Decay. Potentially a Biotic Grenade coming through for the Transcendence again. So we'll see if Shaz can hit another big nade here to seal the deal.
And it could be a Transcendence, like you mentioned, Matt. Hard to miss when it gets used here. Decay does not want his grab to get eaten, and it doesn't. They're going to push into this one, Biotic Grenade. Oh, it hurts! It hurts so bad, Matt! Blaze hit with that one. Fusion's also put to sleep, but then the nade timed out. Then he got healed back up. Then he gets up and gets rid of Raw, and now Big Goose is in a bit of trouble on the point here. From the high ground, Void is trying to control the space, but he's run out of teammates, and somehow, in classic Boston fashion, the Uprising have managed to claw their way back into this map.
Yeah, and Shaz had gotten sneaky. He went from the high ground right behind the point, all the way around to the other side. You're able to get the biotic rating off. Still not enough in the end, though. Now in the Boston Uprising, they unlock the payload, but good defense at the start here from the Gladiators. You can continue to play Ana. Good high ground on defense yet again from this point to point B.
Again, looking at those percentages up there, the Gladiators probably want to fight as far forward as they can here, and they do. They fight early, fight often. Raw pushes up, is actually knocked back, and still gets the fire strike on Aim God though. The damage boost definitely helping that one. He charges forward again. You can play reckless here for the Gladiators. You're not at any risk of losing the fight from that point.
We've seen a lot of teams in the recent weeks playing this close here once the payload unlocks and really trying to brawl it out, almost like the payload now has become point A. It's I
mean, you have two chokes here. The Boston Uprising have to rewind and play as if they hadn't even captured the point yet.
Look, these fights go for 15, 20 seconds, so you get them to use a grab here. That's great if you're the Gladiators.
Raw, swinging hammer. A lot of armor now being given from that rally, but Raw is looking for it. But he gets caught inside the Graviton surge. Big Goose going for the sound barrier. RCK! Okay, gets Big Goose, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Both Lucios are taken down by the blasts, and Fusions is felled. That filthy biotic grenade from the Shaz direction.
Yeah, Boston has to back up though, because Fusions dies. They know that Roar has the shatter, so you don't want to walk around the corner, just walking right into it.
You can still play the same way as you just did for the Gladiators, man.
Yeah, you play as aggressive.
You have Graviton, and there it is. Straight away, you're going to use that one. Raw swinging into it. Biotic grenade. Really going to be there this time for Shaz. Doesn't connect as what he would have liked, but getting Talahex with the burst damage of Raw's charge means the Gladiators have got what they came for now. And they will chase this as far as they can. Another fire strike. Ooh, watch out, Aim God.
You continue to play this far up, though, if you're the Gladiators. I mean, you have this shatter. Force them to rally, try and get in. I mean,
can give you another grab from Decay.
Yeah.
If all goes well. The sound barrier is the only concern, but I mean, if you're the Gladiators, you get really free and really easy damage if you're able to get a big shatter off, because everyone is unable to shield themselves. So even if a sound barrier happens, rally. I think the Boston Uprising want to fight, Matt. Raw going to try and play around this corner here. Shield was low. Blase is the only one that gets shattered there, and Raw doesn't follow up. He was almost like he was expecting that sound barrier to come in. But Decay goes down to Fusions, he throws a fire strike in the mix and it works out. The Boston Uprising only really having the sound barrier rally forced out of the map. They've been able to recruit some important ultimates, but they're in overtime.
Yeah, and I like what Roar tried to do there. They tried to use the shatter, force out the sound barrier, they do, and then they try and back up. If Decay would have stayed alive, they would have had an opportunity to use, let's say, Nano Boost on Roar, or they could have put on Decay, get another grab. It would have been a nice setup, but with Decay dropping early there, that kind of ruins their entire plan.
Boston, a couple players from the high ground. Void denying that. Knocking Fusions down. And the Uprising had to have one player on the payload at all times. And Shatter, Hydration didn't have his shield up this time. An unlikely catch on a Brigitte. And the follow-up is pretty good. It's going to be self-destruct here. Shaz going down now. And the Gladiators, I cannot believe this has happened. They look so dominant, Matt. They played it so close to that choke, and they looked like they were going to hold off. And the Boston Uprising now are on the last phase of the map.
They got to use all their ults to get there, but still you're going to get a kill here on the Void. At least the DMAC, you would think, is Void. Yep, there he goes.
You get 50% of your ultimate back if you're Fusions.
Yeah. Go back to the cart, get it rolling again.
And at this point now, the Gladiators, probably, depending on what kind of beat they've been able to draw on Boston's ult economy, they probably don't play too far forward now.
They can't.
You're going to be very wary.
Well, Boston will rally, right? You think that forces the Gladiators to rally as well. They're going to nano at the start here, so maybe you hold on a rally if you're the Uprising. You hold on a rally, so you got nano out. Roar going to build up towards a shatter here, but now you build a rally, you know they're going to counter with their own rally. The big advantage you have now, though, is you do have a Transcendence to layer on top of it, right? So you'll have way more sustain here if you're the Boston Uprising. Shaz switches over to Zenyatta here.
Interesting, actually, considering that this is a fight where Boston would have had Transcendence, which Ana is very effective at shutting down. We've seen players,
high ground as well.
Yeah, we've seen players switch off Zen to Ana when they know their opponent Zen has Transcendence. So cut in the opposite direction this time. Here's the damage trade, so Blase blown up. Shatter Fusions though, so much damage coming in from behind. The Los Angeles Gladiators finally seem to have reasserted dominance. Oh, that's not, no, that's so rough.
Are they holding the transfer? I mean, maybe for grab, but at that point, you kind of have to consider using it to keep anybody alive. And Blase will get a touch, but
they give him a big group hug when he gets to the payload. Fusions won't be touching here, and the Boston Uprising are finally put to rest here on the attacking side, but they are quite a plucky bunch, have been able to put up a decent push on attack, Matt.
yes, you would have maybe liked to see Aim God use the Transcendence there. You're holding it for the grab, but still, can't have players die. That ends your push. Let's see if the Gladiators can do any better on their offense.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
An unlikely turn of events. You know, I gotta stop saying that about the Boston Uprising. An entirely expected turn of events from the Boston Uprising after being mere seconds, scant moments from losing the map. They managed to come back and put a pretty decent showing up here on Blizzard World on attack.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, they're able to get point A at the end, push through point B actually pretty successfully. I think you see where the box of victory is. Maybe if they would have used the Transcendence, I think you're really stuck in a tough spot. If you use the Transcendence and you don't pick up a bunch of kills, Decay grabs you, it's over. If you don't use the Transcendence, then you never get a use of it, and then Decay doesn't even need a
Obviously,
grab
Aim
to
God
make it happen. So
would have been taken by surprise there. You see he was trying to use it reactively, but maybe there it was time to use it proactively and start the fight.
I mean, when you lose one, and then Fusions is really kind of getting pelted down, you kind of have to.
Look,
there's no real other way.
Especially, but he might not have realized that Shaz had switched off of the Ana to the Zen, so he might have been waiting for a Bionic Grenade cooldown before he went for it. That is possible.
Let's see if, nope. Big Goose not gonna play Hog. So we're gonna see the mirror. So the Gladiators don't mind opting into the Reinhardt matchup. Boston does not go with on defense like we saw the Gladiators do, so say traditional Zen.
Even though Aim God has a filthy Ana.
Oh, interesting. Gladiators never beat the Uprising.
They've won 3 maps out of 18?
Considering, you know, historically, Boston sports are pretty horrible compared to LA sports.
Okay.
You know, like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Lakers are undefeated against the Celtics.
Okay, let's not talk about any other many sports.
According to my math.
Okay. Fusion's taking a lot of damage here. They have to keep him up, but it looks like the repair pack was off cooldown. Well, it's not available now with Blase having fallen. Fusion's, when you see him charge across the point like that, you know he's exhausted all of his other options. And Decay, yeah, Brian right now, 94 charge. We're all gonna be in trouble here. I like this. This is what we wanted to see from Boston at the end of the last round. Use the Transcendence proactively, get into the fight, but they still get caught up in the grab. They feed a fair bit of ult charge, and the Gladiators, well, that seemed pretty easy for them there.
Yeah, the Gladiators end up just using their Graviton Surge. They use a Earth Shatter during that, but I think what we saw there from Decay was really nice, because how you get these Zaryas to get their grab so quick is you can just pump through D.Va. I mean, D.Va has so much HP, cannot block the Zarya beam. As soon as Decay finds RCK, just pumps him down with so much damage.
Right?
I mean,
obviously your ult charge is dependent on how much charge you're doing, how much damage you're doing, right? So once you get charged up, you find the deep and you just go carve your name into the side of the mech and laser.
When you're Zarya and you see D.Va coming right at you, I mean, that is, you love to see that, I mean.
You love to see this as well. Color Hex with a grab. There's an opportunity here.
Oh, I mean, that was pretty predictable, right? I mean,
yes, because he walked up and shot it at the ground. Again, a little bit telegraphed, and I mean, you got to wake up pretty early in the morning to get one over Void like that. It doesn't work out. And, the Boston Uprising, look, they honestly turned their attack into a chance to win this map. Now, they are very far behind, and the Gladiators have a lot of time.
Yeah, and RCK in a world of trouble here is he gets taken out of his mech. They're just dwindling down his HP. Finally, he'll be eliminated, so...
He may not be back in time for this fight.
Oh, and he's got bomb. Oh, no, never mind, actually. Does he have bomb?
Yeah, you got to be careful with that one. Well, he does have bomb, right. Sees the Graviton surge from Decay. Fusions goes down very early again. It looks like that focus on the main tank is definitely working here. It's often what teams try and use against the Uprising map. Here's a bomb over the top. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean... You almost wonder if you're better off saving the bomb to potentially combo with a grab coming up soon, but...
5 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, no defense here from Boston. I mean, it's been non-existent on the defensive end. RCK going to switch off of D.Va after using the bomb. Go play some Sombra, Color Hex. Yep.
That looked good.
He gets that front spawn.
That looked real clean from the Shaz, man.
This offense has looked sick from the Gladiators. I mean...
Well, in all fairness, they haven't had any Gravitons eaten. Raw is staying alive and not dying first in a lot of these fights. All right, RCK a long way away from EMP, so what does he do? If he tries to hack hydration, it's possible hydration, literally 180s and shield bashes him to kill the song, so he has to be careful. It was an Earth Shadow that actually knocked down both Shaz and Hydration, but Hydration was rallying and Shaz is able to pick himself up and get it off here. Decay, that's a lot of kills. 4 for Decay, and they all just line up for him. It was after the grab, so that's going to be enough easily for the Gladiators. Comfortable cleanup on the attack there, and Boston they just disappeared.
Yeah, Boston did not show up there on the defense in map 3. So I know Boston's so good getting those reverse sweeps. You got the Gladiators working their way.
It's almost like they
trying to make one happen. As the Gladiators take a map 3, we'll see if they can force the game 5 after this.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Well, better late than never, and there's still time in this series for the Gladiators to squeeze out a win. It'll have to be at map 5, though. They look pretty darn good on Blizzard World, man. Almost flawless on that attacking side.
I mean, yeah, I think that's about as flawless as you can get, right? Without just kind of the other team just rolling over. I mean, it gets out of control, I think, when Color Hex gets his grab eaten by Void. He just kind of walks that Decay in a straight line as
I mean,
Blade realizes it.
Let's think about the psychological impact of sort of feeling like you're about to let the game slip and then yeeting the grav into a diva.
And then after that happens, there was no fight from Boston. I mean, they try and switch to Sombra at the end, but the Gladiators do what good teams do against Sombra comps. RCK is poking in the back. As soon as he translocates, they go. And they just barrel right through Fusions. I mean, there's no way they can keep him up through everything that the Gladiators are bringing at that point.
Well,
there's no chance for an EMP. Like,
I mean, you know the Uprising give up a large portion of their damage mitigation by getting rid of the Diva and having a Sombra in the first place.
The only time we see teams struggle to play against the Sombra comp is when they just linger around and let Sombra do whatever they want. So.
And that's when EMPs come thick and fast. The Gladiators will start on defense here on Rialto. And RCK will be scouting out with a Sonic Arrow now, revealing 3 of the Gladiators players lying in wait. Perhaps no huge surprise to see this Reinhardt v Reinhardt matchup unfold.
If you are the Uprising as well, like, you probably would have liked a better 4th map than this. Like, Rialto really 3-3 heavy. You just got punished. Triple tank, triple support.
The Gladiators look, yeah, really good at my comp.
You would have loved like a Junker Town here at the end of this, right? I mean, anything that would have allowed you to play something different here for Boston.
So the upside here is that Colorhex.
What's the upside for Boston here, Mitch?
That he was about to get away with his charge.
Oh yeah, no, it didn't happen.
That's brutal. So the Uprising, I mean, we've seen defenders here, especially if they win the first fight on Rialto and they can control this high ground, it becomes very oppressive to play into their setup as attackers.
And I mean, you saw Big Goose, the movement. I mean, you get so high on the buildings here. Rialto, you're able to get some sick moves here at the beginning, like just off the side of the bridge, like especially if they push Boston back. It gets Kellex here, so Big Goose does get picked up. So you don't have a speed to disengage, but disengaging is the last thing on the Gladiators' mind. They want to play as close as possible here.
I'm going to make a prediction here. If this is a truly Boston game, they're going to get trounced in this map and then win somehow in map 5. That would be the way they would do it. Not a great start for Boston here though, and you have to wonder about how their mental is. Is it boom? Or is it bust? Maybe both. High ground is Big Goose here with a sound barrier. There's a lot of ultimates for the Gladiators. Sometimes I just love talking about watching his face screw up in disgust for the things I say. They're going to go with the grab here. Aim God Transcendency though. The Uprising at least have ultimates to stave off some of this push here. And they stop the Shatter. Neither Shatter though really gets much done.
I mean, you get a D-mech though if you're the Gladiators. RCK out of his mech. Void going to use the self-destruct here just to get back in. It'll be sound barrier now for the Uprising. So they want to commit and fight this. If you're the Gladiators, what, you got a minute 49 on the clock? You probably back out here, get another fight, sound barrier, and Transcendence of your own.
Yeah, just don't want to stagger out too much here. The K was always going to be chased down. It wasn't like he'd be able to make a quick exit stage left from that fight anyway, as Zaya. Okay, Aim God needs to be careful. Losing him here just before the fight started would be absolutely devastating, and Shaz almost put him in that position. A lot of support ultimates for the Gladiators. A lot of early damage on the Blase, who's going to have to go for the rally here. The timing doesn't hurt him. It's about when he would have wanted to use that before this fight. Now, Colorhex is looking for anywhere where Void is to let this go. It's a little bit hard to get a grab off when he knows that Void is sitting in that side room and that Matrix has good coverage. He had to go there right onto the corner and Void could not stop that one. Blase, though, is gone down. The Transcendency from Aim God doesn't really seem to have done a whole lot, and now Decay has a grab to follow up this fight. Fusions is able to valiantly battle through and fight raw, but he's taking a heck of a lot of damage and he has a lot of ground to cover, but Aim God is there. Void from long range gets picked off. Kellex, though, a little bit too far, a little bit too deep, gets stunned up with Hydration dealing with Fusions. Decay wants to let this grab go, but he knows that RCK is on the prowl.
Hey, you got your brig there. You're still in it, right? No. I mean, Decay's so charged up. It's really just Decay, Hydration, and Big Goose there to keep it going, and the Hydration able to stand tall on the point. You're able to get some charge off of him. Now you're in loads of trouble if you're the Uprising, right? You know you're walking into this grab. You're really just going to have maybe Shatter, maybe Transcendence. That last fight was the one you really needed to win.
Boston severely off kilter by this point. Let's see how much the coaching has been able to boost their ability to bounce back from some pretty horrendous situations. It didn't work on Blizzard World. Let's see if it works here. Raw, straight to the front here. Shatter does manage to get behind his shield and get Shaz and Hydration. Both supports taken out. Fusion's perfect Shatter. That's what they needed right there. to get rid of those key players, healers out of the picture in the Uprising. They've done it again.
And all they needed was to shatter. Oh, it's unreal that Fusions comes up with a huge shatter there.
But they
just take out the K, he's got the grab. Oh, you had everything if you
they exploit Raw. Raw goes too aggressive. The bubble that was put on him gets broken.
I kind of like why Roar went aggressive though, because what they saw is that RCK was split off to the right, and I thought what they thought is pressure RCK, have him go all the way around, and then you would have been able to use the grab for free. You know the deep is nowhere close, so I think the idea for Roar was follow him up and use the grab, and there was nobody there, and then the shatter comes down. Oh man, that's tough. You're gonna have the grab being used here.
Interesting. This is very interesting timing for grab. Raw is still on his way back to join them. Decay sort of feels like he can get an advantage, and the fact that they get Azaya for that grab makes me feel like it's worth. Well, now it's definitely worth it. Decay tends to do this. Big Janitor loves a sweet map.
So they come through, clean up the rest of the players, uses grab, and now ends up closer to another grab than Color Hex. Not by much, but still, you know, walking into all this charge, gonna get it quick.
I think that's still significant. That's what a high charge Zarya cleaning up a fight will do for you. 65% average energy. That is pretty nice.
He's been sick. I think in stage 1, you just didn't see it result in wins. I think they're getting much better now, obviously. By the record, clean-up fight here for the Gladiators. Boston just runs right onto the bridge.
The bomb placement from Void. AimGod tried to hide, just in that little choke that, you know, the first point is, he tried to hide in the side room away from it, and the bomb was right in front of him. He couldn't have gotten away from that one if he tried.
Shatter here, you build up towards another grab. You just keep cycling these, all 3 support ultimates. You look like you're in good shape if you're the Gladiators, but he's thought that on point A, right? So Boston,
how about that?
Oh, come on, man. I turn to look at you, say that, I turn back, AimGod's picking off shots. Now they have to back up. Now they have to give space. Boston getting more ultimates. It's like, can they make another like hero play at the end?
The exasperation is evident in your voice, but this is what happens when you have a match with 2 Zenyatas who are notorious for getting long-range picks. Here's a grab though. Fusion's trying to shatter his way out of it. Nothing doing this time around. Bomb over the top. No, not for that either. And Color Hex donates yet another Graviton Surge to the Get Void Swole Fund. One after another, he just hands them over, and now we're in overtime. The Boston Uprising. Once again, that grab was supposed to get them out of dodge, and might have put them right up the proverbial creek. Void on the high ground, able to get a D-suit here on RCK. And now just getting a bit of extra damage into this fight. This overtime is not going to pan out well. Blase has a rally. RCK got given a repair pack to stay alive. There might be a turnaround here. RCK getting a mech back. Okay, Color Hex has another grab.
Oh, they're doing it!
The Boston Uprising, you done it!
No! I think though, like if you're the Gladiators and you want to be like a legit contender in the league, like you are, right? I think the Gladiators have enough talent to roll out and be, you know, the 4th best team in the league. But if you want to contend for the top, if you have all those ultimates at the end of point A, you got to get a hold. If you're in that situation there, you probably got to get that hold, right? I mean, I think you know, the Gladiators still in a position, you know, potentially to, you know, hold them from completing the map. The Gladiators, their offense on Blizzard World was sick, so. But still, I think you got to get these holds to make it easy on yourself, though.
Grabs Color Hex, well, catches a couple this time. Both teams caught inside those in the bomb. Kelex is down. And it's all well and good now for the Gladiators to win a fight, but the Uprising will still have an opportunity to come back and contest this payload again.
I ain't saying nothing. They got a lot of ultimates. The way this game's gone means nothing.
I mean, it's like, obviously, Overwatch casting often, you know, it does rely on us sort of seeing the win conditions as they unfold, but that was completely counter to what we expected.
Like, this could have easily been a Gladiator full hold, and we're already in game 5. I mean, you know, Boston's really come up clutch, but I also think the Gladiators kind of make this one much harder on themselves by letting Boston get the payload this far.
I'd love to hear what Josh has to say about this, especially with, you know, the confidence in the Gladiators that's been burgeoning of late. RCK, oh, he got it! He just gives it a little poke around the corner! The Gladiators thought they were away from that one. They thought they were home and hosed. Just a nudge. You know what it was? He shoulder bumped that bomb right onto the Gladiators. Is that karmic justice? I don't know. We're in overtime either way. The Boston Uprising making their way forward. And a transcendence for AimGod.
I mean, you got to have a huge shatter here. The shatter from Roar needs to be huge. As the rally comes through here, that'll be sound barrier answer back here for the Gladiators. You have Transcendence as well for Aim God.
Shatter gets RCK Blase. Fusion's all taken down. Fusion's looked like it wouldn't get healed up in time by the Transcendence, but Aim God, it couldn't have been any later than that. Roar is still able to get Blase with that burst damage though, and again, the Boston Uprising kind of going the way of the weary here. Decay at 7 in charge, and with a grab to throw into the mix, Fusion stunned up, barely able to get his shield up in time, and eventually taken down. And that is it. The defense for the Gladiators finally manages to hold, but it always seems to be just seconds away from collapsing.
If you're Boston and, you know, Fusions, he's talking a mile a minute. If I'm him up there, I am so hyped. We did not complete the map, but considering how bad that could have been, getting full held there, you got it almost all the way to the end. I mean, you know, you're like really close to completing the entire map, where I think now you can play the long game if you're Boston, right? No pressure on you. You can get it all the way to the end, right? You play the long game here.
One of the most frustrating things for the Gladiators here would be is that the results are not matching their expectations. Their defense was so good on Reality this map, the first couple of fights, so you are not expecting to have to even think about the eventuality. That is what we're looking at now.
They were in complete control of the game. I mean, you know, they're Big Goose going up the top ropes, booping people off the side. It's all going good.
But let's see, though, if the Uprising have some defense, man. Because they
didn't on Blizzard World, I tell you that.
It was not what they need to win this series, not the kind of performances they want to pull out. The Gladiators, man, Matt, there is a monkey on their back. And when we saw the stat beforehand about the Uprising sort of constantly beating him and them getting a very small number of maps against them over the course of all their head-to-heads. But at this point, you just need to shake it off and play to your team's strength. Like, the Gladiators, there's a reason why they were expected to be so strong in this game, and the Hex on the desk definitely picked the Uprising because they are Boston. They do this, but in a nominal scenario, the Gladiators should not be here.
The Gladiators have looked very strong in this series. It's just been the clutch moments where Boston's been able to come out on top, make plays, right, when it doesn't really look good in their favor. But I think, though, like, when you're a team in this situation like the Gladiators, and you're trying to make this comeback, and you have that advantage, being able to, potentially full hold on point A, you gotta get it.
The way the Boston Uprising are able to win fights when starting at like a 1 or even 2 player disadvantage mystifies me, and I really think it comes down to calling. Fusions now will play from the low ground. Nice boop in a fire strike as well. The damage trade's going to be too much for the Gladiators to deal with here, Matt. They can't heal this up quick enough, and the Uprising are going to lean into some of these weakened targets. Oh, that's perfect, Kellex. Beautiful boop.
Yeah, now Colorhex can charge up his Graviton Surge a bit. So, we saw from Big Goose, the displacement of Lucio, especially on the bridge here. But wait, the LA Gladiators trying to go up and control the high ground, which we see a lot of the teams go up towards the staircase. What was it? I think one team called it the noob staircase, going up the staircase.
Yeah, noob staircase.
But yeah, I think you go up there, try to control the high ground, right?
It's Philadelphia.
Yeah, get the beam down, put down some damage from Decay, but you can ruin that all with Kellex.
Both Lucios want to try and play, both Ryans want to try and play corners here. Now the great boop Roar is actually going to be too slow to join his team. He gets there a little bit late, and they take a fair chunk of damage as a result. So Kellex already sets the wheels in motion by knocking or displacing Roar constantly. Oh, Fusions, yeah, he wants to go forward with that bubble. Roar start up, taken down. Oh, Los Angeles, what is going on?
And I think the big thing there is that Kellex gets them off of the high ground, and then they are forced into a back corner position there, the Gladiators. What's big is RCK is able to get to the high ground, right? And just sit up there and just work down the shield from above, work down the shield. And if Roar doesn't kind of like angle the shield in an odd manner, like he's just going to get burned down from behind, and then they get the rally, they're running out of. Not really much Roar could do there in that situation.
Roar wants to use either high ground to break line of sight or to make it harder to sort of damage him, or corners, but both of those are being denied from him by Kellex and by someone like RCK. You can displace him.
I mean, once they get the high ground with RCK, like you're just going to lose the shield battle. As Gladiators want to fight this, they're going to rally, try and just create some space.
Void is low. Colorhex needs to... Okay, no, he goes for the grab beforehand. It's fair enough. He didn't want to wait it out. Bomb in the back. Fusion's trying to go for the shadow to set that one up, but it didn't connect. Blase is down, and Colorhex is also missing. It was a good start to the fight by the Uprising, but the Gladiators crawl back in, and not only did the Uprising lose the fight, use a lot of ultimates.
Maybe they get another chance here. Kellex dies late, so you won't have a speed.
Decay is probably about 60 charge at this point, and he's pushed forward, so taking a pretty big risk trying to challenge him, plus Raw's shield. I mean, Decay is getting charged up before the fight starts. Here, the Uprising had to go in. Oh, they get a big boost! They managed to catch out Hydration as well! The Earth Shatter, it's a brilliant clapback from Raw, but is it too late? AimGod is in a good position to do damage, but Decay jumps on him. It may not be enough, though. Kellex removes the Zarya, and the Uprising are back in control, man! I've seen some things back.
Sometimes everything just ends up not going your way, and there Big Goose goes to get the sound barrier off, gets taken out.
The speed boost
while he's trying to get it down.
The Kellex speed boost to get the Uprising in was ridiculous. They overwhelmed Raw and Decay. The Gladiators weren't ready for that aggressive burst, and now there's 25 seconds left.
They got to get a good grab here. You have to land a good grab if you're Decay.
AimGod can get trans in time. Looks like he will have it.
Working on the shield. I mean, Fusions has nowhere to hide. You see Void around, Raw around the corner, just holding it.
RCK de-suited. It's the time for the gravity. Lets it go. RCK gets taken down. Here's the Transcendence, but Raw is going to charge straight on through. Can he connect here? Shaz goes for the Transcendence as well. Shatter Fusion stunned up in between that one, and Big Goose having to finish him off. Blase trying to back away. He's taken down. Raw swinging. Payload has made it to that first checkpoint in overtime.
And that's tough there. Fusions has to stand in the choke with the shield up. And then Roar can just sit around the corner. He can have Void and Decay just burn that shield down. There's no reason for Roar to stand there in the choke. And then Fusions has to make a positional play at that point. You have to get around the corner. You have to try and pressure it down. You stand there in the choke with your shield up, eventually they're just going to burn it down. Shatter's going to come through. It's going to be over. So did have a good hold there from Boston. You're going to need like another fight or two. Long range grab here used by Color Hex.
Maybe some risk associated with that one, but it works out. Big Goose hydration.
Did you need sound barrier there? Probably like to have that.
Yeah, but look, benefit of the doubt. Kellex looked very good on that first stage.
Well, you play. Yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of play the long game as well, right? I mean, now you use your barrier, you definitely win that fight. Let's say the next fight happens with a minute, you're going to have another fight towards the end.
But you have Rally Transcendence,
yeah,
the Uprising. And the Gladiators have to cross a fairly open expanse. There's a lot of risk there. Big Goose and Shaz, look how low they are up there. Shaz, well, he'd like a repair pack, but he ain't going to get one! There it is, Kellex! Oh, Tinnitus, Decay and Raw just get knocked over the edge, and Big Goose is able to deal with AimGod, but he will be back.
And the hard part, the Gladiators do not want to invest to get over the bridge. We can take a look at Kellex's POV.
This looks so
Speed,
good, this map.
the boob.
The loop.
Everyone loves the boobs. As Kellex goes back, gonna bring AimGod back into the equation here as he's got Transcendence.
Shadow, oh, Raw! Caught with his shield down. Bomb over the top, catches out Shaz here. That's not good for the Gladiators. Raw able to survive the fallout from that Shadow. But really, what do you do here? Fusions took a bit of damage, but he's just being healed up, and the Gladiators now are in trouble. Color Hex is going to charge up another grab. It'll be 2 grabs in the next fight. But both teams also have Transcendence. You have to favor the Uprising a little bit based on their position.
And we talked about maybe sound barrier used a little bit too early. Nothing's gone on in the last like 2 fights, so you're going to have it back again here for Kellex. You got to get over this bridge without getting like moved or grabbed or
10 seconds. Decay takes a fair bit of poke damage as he approaches. He got given a repair pack there, interestingly. See what the damage trades look like now. The Boston Uprising main the corner. Again, this is very important. Can the Lucios knock the other Reinhardts out of position? Decay goes for the grab here. Now, Transcendence immediately from AimGod to set this one up. Blase caught out by the charge into the wall. Burst damage is king here. Boy, a lot of damage now, and here comes the responding Graviton Surge now. There needs to be some burst as well. Oh, Fusions and AimGod are knocked to the ground. Raw lays down the Earth Shatter, and that will enable the Gladiators to withstand a Graviton being thrown at them, but they're not out of the woods yet. They're still in overtime.
You're going to get another fight here. You're going to have rallies on both sides, so everybody will be all topped up in terms of armor. RCK with the bomb. Can you get like a good bomb with a shatter maybe here at the end? That's kind of like, well, you think it's your win condition this fight, but you still have a lot of progress to play after this though, if the Gladiators complete this.
Fusions, maybe you can use the archers to get a decent angle for a shadow, but Blase's taken down by Void's bomb. I mean, you have to invest here if you're Boston. You have to go for something, but you're already 2 players down, and it's very easy to get out of line of sight if you're the attacking team because of said archers, and it can even get under the stairs. Harry Potter would be proud. Will be the Gladiators getting over the line here and getting that second checkpoint, setting up the potential for a map 5.
They are not making it easy on themselves today, though. This is one when the Gladiators have looked good. They've looked really good.
I mean,
sometimes it's been scary.
Just as either of these teams starts to look really good, Matt, they grab the nearest stick and jam it between the spokes of their bicycle.
Let's see, Boston's going to get aggressive here. Repair pack early here on the Fusion. So.
That was aim god that got it actually. Fusion's run out for a little bit here. Sound barrier. Not a great shatter here. What about Roars? Neither of them. RCK and Color Hex got knocked down though, so the grab will be a little bit late. But the Transcendence was there to keep them up, and here it is. Uprising really want to win this fight. It won't win them the series per se, but it'll get them back in a more dominant position. Bombed out. You can see Color Hex is caught out on the top of your screen. He gets run down by Roar. RCK will try and keep this one going for as long as he can. Void discorded, and getting rid of Big Gooch is huge because now the Gladiators can't be sped away. And the Boston Uprising gets some extra damage on them as they retreat.
Yeah, but losing Color Hex though, when both grabs go down, look at the difference now between Decay and Color Hex. Decay ready about 60%, gonna keep holding on to the charge. Right, he gets out alive, you see him glowing up. Shatter Bomb, another combo here for Boston. It'll be Rally. We need trying to get the sound barrier out.
Fusions has been quiet on Shatters today, Matt, especially in this map. He needs something big. Sound barrier and a self-strike use there, but Big Goose is down. The key might have been found right now. Fusions does get stunned after he tries to go for the shadow, but hydration is missing, and the Uprising are focusing these supports down very effectively. Roar is low, and there's only one healer alive for the Gladiators right now. Transcendence thrown in by aim god, but they get off the cards. And the Boston Uprising, gold star for you guys, because you didn't need to do it in a map 5, and of course, you exceeded expectations. You got the upset. This match is going to be something that I'm very interested to go back over in the coming weeks. I do want to hear what the desk has to say about it because we saw the best and the worst, I feel, of both of these teams at different moments.
Oh, I think the Gladiators are stunned by this. They did not expect the Uprising to probably come in here today and give them that good of a game. You see Abe God's sharing the love there. But, man, I think the Gladiators had an opportunity to take this to a 5th map. They could have held them on A, didn't work there. They still, had an opportunity on B. It's just those clutch moments from the Uprising. Time and time again in the final seconds, always they come up clutch.
This is a very important wake-up call for the Gladiators heading into a playoffs that is stacked with quality teams. But in the meantime, we're going to get some thoughts now down from the stage from Mika and Fusions.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations, Fusions. You have upset the Gladiators' perfect stage, and you are still in the running to make it to stage playoffs. So was the importance of this win today distracting, or was it a motivator?
I think it was really motivating. I think we're more motivated right now by the fact that we want to have a really good score for our games towards the end of the season, because the overall playoffs, obviously, was really unlikely, even if we win both games this week, that we make playoffs. So we just did our best to put it out of our head and focus on the actual game. We were really nervous coming into it, but we knew they were going to be nervous as well because they were trying to get an undefeated stage. So we just gave it our best to focus on what we had practiced.
And your best, you did give it. Congratulations. And in the first map, we saw you play 15 as a team, 15 out of the 30 heroes. We saw some really interesting comps. We saw a Mei, we saw a Genji. Was this a team effort on thinking of interesting new things to bring to the stage, or was it coaching staff? How did that go down?
It's just about what our players' strengths are on our team. We have some really flexible players like Color, like Blase, who can really play a lot. Rick also on the RCK on the Sombra as well. So we really show our flexibility, and our coaches work at their best around that to just show how we can play the comps that we're really good at with Blase and Doom and stuff. So yeah, it's really good.
It is. It's really good, and it's really fun to watch. So thank you so much, Fusions. Everyone give another round of applause to Fusions and the Boston Uprising. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mitch and Matt.
Thank you very much, Mika. And interestingly enough, I sort of brought up at the start of that Rialto defense for Boston, their ability to come back in some of these clutch fights. I wonder how much it has to do with calling. Well, we have something for you that might, I guess, prove to you that it's a big deal.
It's fine, good push, good push. All right. Focus really hard on our defense now. Rialto is sch a hard point to push. In scrims, we never full cap this map, and we got it right to the end. That's really good. Just make sure we listen if someone calls play slow now, okay? We are better than these guys. We're just panicking, and we're playing into what they want. Yeah, Blase and Jeff have had really good calls this match. Keep listening to it, okay?
I love that. Blase and Jeff have had great calls this match. Listen to them. So it's almost like he's paving the way for his support players to make the calls.
And it's exactly what we talked about. You knew how tough Rialto is to complete. You basically got it. Play the slow game coming up next. So you can see the Gladiators, I know they fall down to third. I mean, they're still a very good stage for the Gladiators. I don't think anyone will kind of argue on that. It's just how does that kind of pan out once we get into the stage 2 playoffs. Boston, you see, not eliminated just yet, still alive. Highly unlikely, though, with their map differential.
The map differential's prohibitive.
Yeah.
It's because they obviously had a lot of those 5-map series, so they weren't able to get very far clear ahead of the rest of the pack in that regard. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, they do play Washington, so you think you make up some maps, probably get a win there. So could get to 4-3, maybe a -1 at best.
And there it is, Boston Uprising taking things away, but we've got to talk about our player of the match presented to you by Omen by HP, and for me it has to be RCK. Starts out on the May. We saw his Sombra pretty much clutch out the entire map here on Oasis and throughout the series, flexing between a lot of those different picks. The Sombra, for me, was huge.
I mean, it was just map 1 in general, right? Being able to help put this one away, gets the nano boost, the EMP is... I feel like he's really kind of changed the dynamic on this team. Like, you would have never seen them come out with some of these compositions when they had Node on the roster, because you need that D.Va to go over and play a Sombra. They can play some more damage dealer heavy stuff, and then also when you need it, can go over and play a D.Va at a high level.
Towards the end of the series, you saw him continue to have that impact, but he had to play a bit more D.Va, so it was a little bit less flashy, but that cheeky little bomb around the corner towards the end of Real to attack. That's the stuff I really do love to see. Fantastic performance from him and the Boston Uprising. But coming up next, there are rumblings in the north. The Spirits are angry. That's right, it's going to be the Toronto Defiant taking on the Vancouver Titans. The first time these two teams have played, and it's bound to be a blockbuster, so stick around for that one, and we'll see you on the other side of these messages.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.